Hi guys, this is Steph with Dotting with Dragons. Welcome in if you're new, and welcome in and welcome back if you're not new. I wanted to thank you guys for being here with me today. I'm going to try to share with you how to go about sealing some of these diamond painting projects that I have in front of me. Now, if you're familiar with Michaels or Make Market brand, they are rocking their Halloween collections, and they do that every year that I've been participating in diamond painting, which is about 3 years now. So about 3 years they've had a really cool collection, and they just diversify what they offer every year. So and I do have a project that I worked on last year. It's a 3D project that I diamond painted and inside. And I did do some reviews on this one, some post reviews, so definitely go check those out. I'll put those in the link, in the description. I'll put a link in the description below. But we're going to attempt to seal this and see how it's doing 1 year later without being opened. And there's a nice thick layer of dust on the box. So as you can see, it has been sitting there for a year. So we'll see 1 year later how the drills are holding up on this project. I have some other projects that are from this year's collection. So this is a special project I just completed. It didn't take too long. It's a wooden plaque, and I already tied on the strings in the back, and you can hang it up. It is a round drill project, and the thing about rounds is that they leave little sticky in between. There's little sticky, there's the glue or the adhesive. Now, some special projects, I'm going to show you these. These are not from Make Market. These are from Target's Halloween last year, and I did do them just a few weeks ago. These little special projects here are done with glue dots. Excuse me, each individual gem is placed on top of a glue dot. So there is no sticky in between, but this is something that I would want to seal. Their glue dots were really well done, really well placed. You can kind of see the guide circles on the back, but there were times when I lifted up the plastic cover and the glue dot came off on the cover, and I'd have to put the glue dot back on. So I also use mini glue dots in my single placers exclusively. So I'm pretty familiar with how it works, but it can lose its adhesive over time. It is a really good product though. So I do want to seal these as well, but I wanted to show you there are projects like this one that don't have any sticky in between. However, things like this are going to attract dust, dirt, hair, all that kind of stuff over time on the sticky. So maybe if you're just doing this project for this 1 year and you're not really gifting it to anyone, maybe you don't really, that doesn't bother you. Maybe you're going to toss it, after the season, which is, a little sad because these are really cute projects. This is a new product that they offered this year. Another type of project. These are partials, and the way I'm going to seal this is a little bit different than the way I would seal that round project, and I'll explain why. Because they're partials, this is just the fabric, and it's not sticky, but it is a round drill canvas, and so there could be potentials for things to get in here. Now, if you're just going to stick this in like a frame, this is a 5x7 image, so like with the square, so that would be really cool if you had like a picture frame to actually put these in. These are spooky cocktails. I will also link these in the description, but again, they're going to be worked on, they're going to be sealed a little bit differently. There's different things I would do for these, versus something like what's behind us here. And this is my very first time doing a Make Market square drill project. Now, the reason why I say this is because I've already pre-sealed this project. What does that mean, I pre-sealed it? Well, there are liquid sealants that you basically brush on, and I will show you that. And then there are things like this that are a spray sealant. So this project right here, oh boy, yep, I can already see a drill popped off even though I pre-sealed it. This is a Make Market square project. Now they do use acrylic drills. Their drills are not resin. okay? And they do use poured glue. Now this looks really nice, right? Like the rendering is really cool. The image turned out really, especially those trees, that was a lot of confetti. However, if I get you up really close, you can see these drills, you can see gapping, which that's not why I would seal it, is because of that, the gapping and stuff getting in. And I tried to keep it straight up here, but the drills themselves, how do I say this? You cannot remain a perfectionist with these. Oh, there's another drill that popped off. You cannot remain a perfectionist and work on this kit and not hate everything about it. Okay? There are drills that are trying to pop off, not because the drill field is tight and not because the squares fit so well together, but because they don't fit well together. They are accommodated by a larger grid field, which is actually a good thing. Hold on, let me explain. Because the drills are so mismatched and irregular, they need extra space around them to be able to sort of go where they need to go. This is not a Diamond Art Club, Jaded Gem Shop, Muni Made, Dreamer Designs type of drill, okay? This is like, now they're rounds, fantastic quality. I could do make market round kits all day long. I don't even really like rounds that much, but these turned out, as you can see, fantastic. And they were fun to place, minimal trash. They do use acrylic drills instead of resin, which is a quality difference. The issue with that is that these acrylic square drills tend to come out, they're just really trash prone. And I did have quite a bit of trash coming from this kit, and I would show it to you, but it is mixed in with a couple of other kits. So as you can see, all of the like gray, blue, light, like those colors, that's all from this kit that are squared. So I don't know how helpful that is, but it didn't have a ton of trash. It was mostly just, I mean, I guess you would call it trash if you were being picky and you wanted every square to have a level edge, but sometimes the edges would cut out a little bit or be a little bit smaller or curve in. It was just, in that case, it was semi-annoying. And also, as you can see, I pre-sealed this yesterday afternoon with this spray sealer, okay? And drills still managed to pop off, but to be fair, I forgot about it outside on the patio overnight, and my husband, I asked him to get it, and he went and got it out late, and he said it was like folded over on itself. So the fact that that's the case and it still is pretty nice, you know, not too many drills popped off, I'm okay with that. I'm not sure, this was only one layer of sealing, and the only reason why I did that was because when it comes time to put the liquid sealer over it, I honestly felt like if I put this liquid sealant on it and try to brush over those drills, because of how easy they were to come off the canvas, I was worried if I didn't put a little layer of something down first, that my brush is just gonna end up tearing all the drills up. So I did pre-spray it with this. Now this is Minwax Polycrylic Crystal Clear Top Coat Gloss. It is a clear gloss. You guys, get the gloss. Do not get the matte. Okay, people have made that mistake. This is my go-to polycrylic gloss. You can get this on the spray. I had to get it at Amazon. Some people are able to find it at their Walmart or hardware stores. This jar, I've had this for a long time. It's well loved. And it goes and goes. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna move this canvas off first, because I kind of gave you a little bit of a mini post review of how that went. And what I'd really like to do is show this project 1 year later. Now, when I pulled it out after doing it last year and did a video on that, you'll see in the video that actually drills were like falling off on my hand. My goal is not to replace the drills if they're falling off. My goal is just to see, are more of them coming off easier? Of course, like sealing a project that's 3D is always a good idea. And I actually meant to do this last year, but then I was over Halloween by the time I got to this and I was just ready to be done. So let's see. So it's a good sign so far that I don't see any drills in the box. And this year at Make Market, they do have quite a few of these projects. They have another jack-o'-lantern, a ghost, a crystal ball, and a skull. So they had like 2 of these Halloween projects last year, and it was like the skull and this guy, and then this year they have 4. So that's pretty cool. So as you can see, he looks pretty good. Now there are some drills that have begun to come off, like this one. You can kind of see that. So let me see if I can turn my light and get a better look at him. And you can see I didn't really worry too much about the bottom. This was a fun, interesting project to try my hand at. Yeah, I can see some of these drills want to come up, and I'm touching in here, and actually it's still sticky. That's crazy. That is crazy. That's cool. It's still sticky. Around the edges here, I can see it was brushed, but it's not sticky. Oh yeah, there's still, I don't know if you can hear that. It's still tacky. Okay, I wouldn't call it like sticky, but it is tacky. And I can see all these little imperfections these drills pulling up. So there's also quite a bit of, there's some fuzz on this guy, but that's okay. So you can see back here, like quite a few of those drills kind of popped off. And I did my best to make straight lines. Oh yeah, that's still tacky. Also, mine last year, as I worked on it, I would turn it on. It came with batteries and on switch. This year, they don't come with batteries. You have to install them. But as I worked on it last year, this little switch, I was very gentle with it, and yet it still broke and like popped in. Oh, but look at that. Let's see if I turn this off. You can see it still lights up. So that's kind of cool. Let me see if I can kind of give you a little bit more of a... He's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. But you can see the imperfections a little bit more. Yeah, like you can see where I lost drills here. And that is still tacky. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, so that is pretty cool, okay? So if you're looking at doing one of these this year, you know, and you're like, oh, you're like me, I've never done a 3D printed project before. Uh-oh. Can I get it off? It doesn't know what it wants to do. I tried to turn it off. Okay, so this is what happened last year. I'm using a murder tweezer to try to... Oh boy, okay, so it doesn't know how to be off or on. Okay, so now it's off. Now that it's off, I'm gonna get to sealing this guy, okay? So let's get our light back on here. All right, so polycrylic gloss is very liquidy, okay? Very watery, sort of. You don't need to dilute it, but I would highly suggest, like this, putting something down where we do this, or do it outside. You could use the spray gloss on this guy. Don't get me wrong. However, the liquid has a tendency to be able to kind of like, what would be the right way to say it, be thick enough that it could go in between the drills, versus this is literally just a top coat, right? So I've got my jar. I've got a couple different brushes. These are sponge brushes, very basic. You can get them at Dollar Tree. They're very inexpensive, okay? So I'm gonna grab my knife here that I used to open up all the packages. Woo! Okay, that was fun. So here we are, and as you can see, I have loved the crap out of this stuff. It is a little stinky, so I'm going to turn on my desk fan here to help blow the fumes. Pretty sure there are warnings about don't breathe this in and all that good stuff. So anyway, I digress. So I'm going to use the bigger brush, and I don't need to dilute it. Another good thing to have nearby, which I don't have right now, is a little bowl of water in a bowl you don't really care about. So I'm gonna just dip it in here, and I'm just gonna dab around the base. And the cool part is this, okay, do not be afraid of this gloss because it will go on a little cloudy, okay? But then it will, it'll dry up to be clear. So what I'm doing now is I'm dabbing in between, and you can see all this milky white stuff right there. That's a thick layer of gloss. So I'm definitely going to be spreading that around. So what I'm trying to do right now is I can definitely brush it across like this, but that's mostly just giving me some air bubbles on here. And it's also just, you know, going across the top of the drills. I want to really make sure that this gets in between the drills. That's where I want it to be. So all of these areas of the pumpkin where they go in, I'll kind of just do a dab like that and make sure that we're good in those spaces before I kind of just do this. Oops. Now, don't do what I just did and do the very, very bottom, because then whatever you put it down to dry on, it'll stick to that. So a good idea for these projects that are like this, and this goes for anything, like if you're painting something, if you're sealing something else, seal the top part of it, let it dry and cure, and then flip it over and do this, which I kind of ignored my own advice there and I put a little bit there. But you can see there's another drill. So yeah, so I'm just gonna kind of paint over his face. And you can also wear gloves if you want to, but you can see like it's really basic. And the first couple times I sealed a painting, I was super scared about this stuff not, you know, like not drying clear, because it goes on milky white, which is nice because then you know where it is. I'm just kind of, but a year later, I'm brushing the tops. I can kind of see some imperfections in the drills. Like you can see those that look like bumps. Oh my God, you know what that is? It's pump acne. It's pumpkin acne. Look, he's got some little, or he's got eczema or something. That's what his deal is. He's got some blemishes. It's okay. Normal pumpkins do too. All the good ones do. Okay. So my goal with this, and I don't care about, I don't have special fancy nails, so I don't have to worry about, you know, ruining my nails or something like that. So if you care about that though, I would wear gloves. Do you understand that this polycrylic, the polycrylic, oh, there goes another drill off of my brush. And now it's stuck on my finger. Do you understand that the polycrylic will become tacky a little bit as it dries? So what I would do is, oh, I should have grabbed a painting mat, or even like a silicone baking mat that you don't use anymore. Did you guys know that you can use a silicone baking mat for release paper? In fact, I have a whole roll of it, and I've been meaning to try doing that, but I just haven't. I don't use a lot of release paper, but holler in the comments if you don't know what release paper is and you want to know about it, because I'm happy to talk about it. But I feel like a lot of the people on this channel who watch, they are diamond painters already, so they tend to know what, you know. Oh, and I got another drill coming off on my brush. So this is kind of cool, because if you're doing one of these projects, now you have, oh, and I just flung another drill. If you're doing one of these projects this year, you can see kind of how they hold up. Now, if this had been sitting out all year and collecting dust somewhere, it'd probably look a lot more messy if I allowed, you know, other people to like hold it, grab it, pick it up, move it around, all that kind of thing. But really, it was out for a little bit, and then I got paranoid that it was not sealed. Okay. And then I put it in its box because I was really over Halloween. Okay, so you can see his face. Let me clean it up a little bit more, and I can even use my other little It's like I'm picking his nose. There you go, honey. Blow your nose. That's so funny. My kiddo, he's about to be 10. He hates blowing his nose, like with a passion. And I was explaining to him this morning in the bathroom, I was like, dude, nobody likes blowing their nose, okay? We all like the feeling after it's done, but nobody actually I mean, come on, like, it's kind of gross, right? And I'm like, I'm trying to explain to him, he's just like, I hate doing it. I don't want to do it. And I'm like, well, too bad, so sad, man. We all gotta blow our nose. It's like wiping your butt. Y'all are gonna get there someday. Okay, and another drill flicked off. So I've had quite a few drills fall off just in the process of sealing this. I did have quite a few drills fall off last year when I was showing the end product. So we'll see how that goes. So I'm going to set this guy back, set this guy down. I'm actually gonna grab some parchment paper and put him down on like a tray so that I can move him around and he can dry. I'll be right back. All right, guys, I am back after washing my hands. And what I did was I just took some parchment paper, not wax paper. Okay, this is parchment paper. This stuff that feels like paper. It's not waxy. You can't scrape anything off on your finger. I always say that because there are people who mistake parchment paper for wax paper. And with wax paper, you can literally like scrape your thumb and most of the time get a little bit of wax that comes up. That is not what we want. Parchment paper is like real non-stick goodness. I've used it for release paper. But I figured, you know, if I'm going to put this guy on something to help him not stick, this is what I'm going to put him on. So I do realize that you are seeing him top down, but this is how he's looking. Okay. About 5 to 10 minutes later, he's still looking a little milky. But as you can see, he's looking good. So I'm going to set him aside for now, and we're going to seal something else, okay? And I've got all the little drills popping off. And I did wash my hands. So, okay. So, for this guy right here, no, I guess it wouldn't matter. I was just thinking, like, when I do this, it's on a slant, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it would be better if I could just keep it flat. But I wasn't going to be able to do that anyway because these little hooks. So anyway, this will go next to the pumpkin, okay? So I'm going to grab my brush again, and I'm just going to, on this one, because it's flat, it's a little bit more like how I would seal a canvas. And what I'm going to do with the Headless Horseman piece that I have, and by the way, that if I didn't say before, that is from this year's Make Market. I am going to go over it with this. Now the cool thing is that this Minwax Polycrylic, okay, I can never say that. The cool thing about this is that, okay, we got quite a few glow-in-the-darks in this project. And honestly, guys, this stuff, when it dries, if as long as you don't do it too thick, okay, and this is kind of thick, it will dry so clear that your glows will still work. Like, I have these smaller canvases, these little 8x10s from last year, and like this one is sealed. This is one I did last year, and you can tell it's sealed because it's like stiff, okay? So I was learning curve, guys, put a lot of it on there. These here are all glow in the darks and they still glow, and you can see that it's still really sparkly. It's very shiny. And Make Market kits, they turn out glossy, like their drills are shiny, but they're not like a premium company because they're really not that faceted. But this stuff, I think it even adds just a little bit more gloss, shine, whatever you want to say to it. So the other thing I do with flat things is, this is like kind of like a cake. I'll do this, try to see if I can get some of the bubbles out. Basically it'll just dry real nice. But yeah, so you can see it looks crazy right now. Like, it just looks insane because you can really see all the, that was probably overdoing it a little bit. You can see the milky like pools between the drills here. And that's probably overdoing it a little bit, okay? So, okay, well, I'm just gonna set that over here. And, okay, so those two projects I would consider this for. And the reason why is because if you've ever used a spray paint or sealant before, you will know that they just go everywhere, right? You spray something, you don't really get a precise location of spray. It just sort of goes all over the place. So it's good for like these big sweeping general projects like a canvas. However, these, I don't want the outside to be glossy. Actually, you know what? It would be interesting to do one that way. Okay, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna pick one of these. Which one should I do like that? I'm gonna pick one of these and paint outside the edges just to see what kind of coating it leaves me. I mean, I know what kind of coating. It's gonna be shiny and kind of stiff. But anyway, you know what I'll do? The most complicated image. Okay, this one is probably gonna be the most complicated one to try to get around the drills. I mean, honestly, I would just use this and dab that, but it would probably get around it anyway. So, but I'm gonna have to do that for these too. Yeah, you know what? This one I will just gloss, literally, I will gloss over this one. Okay, and then we'll see how they turn out. And then what I'll do is I'll give this like a day or so to cure, to set. And then I'll come back and I'll like film the, okay, this is how it turned out. And then, okay, just making sure you get up against the drills, right? Because, I mean, I guess it sort of like depends on your reason for sealing. Are you sealing because you don't want nasties to get on the stick? Like, I don't like icky on my sticky. I can't remember who coined that phrase. I've heard so many people say that. I don't want icky on my sticky. So kudos to whoever came up with that phrase, because I hate icky on my sticky. Actually, it's funny. Stickers, Band-Aids, like diamond painting canvases would normally never be my thing, because I have a thing about stickers and getting stuff stuck in them that's not supposed to be there. Like, is anybody else sort of like have a little bit of trauma regarding like Band-Aids in the bottom of pool corners in the summer? No, just me? Yeah, that's gross. So I kind of have like a thing about it. And of course, when you have a kid, you know, oh, I've got an owie, they want a Band-Aid. And I'm like, oh God, now I have to carry Band-Aids. And I have a kid who loves the comfort of the Band-Aid. So I've had to, you know, get over that, which is funny too, because I was a veterinary nurse before sort of retiring to have my son. And I love doing bandages. Bandage changes were one of my favorite things to do. But we had tape and stuff, but it wasn't like a Band-Aid. I don't know. I'm weird. Okay, so this is the first one I did. And as you can see, I just kind of glossed over the whole thing. You can see the canvas, that shine kind of soaks up that a little bit. So yeah, I'm just gonna put that up here. And now I'm gonna work on this little guy. So what I want to do is this one. You don't have to use the sponge brushes. I have used regular paintbrushes as well, but I just prefer these because they do soak up a lot of product. That's the only thing. Oops. Okay. I can't color in the lines, apparently. I cannot gloss in the lines. So that's kind of beside the point. But that is why I wouldn't do a whole spray on these. Now, maybe for some of you, this would be the reason to do a whole spray. Because maybe you would look at this and go, you know, I'm never going to be able to like perfectly like seal, like do this. I don't want to have like different brushes, but I am a paint by numbers enthusiast as well. So I have a ton of little project brushes that lay around. Oh yeah, that's totally messed up right there. So I totally went off chart there. So what I'm gonna do is get a little bit of paper towel and I'm just gonna wipe that. And of course the canvas is soaking it in around it, but it doesn't look quite as bad. So another thing I've done with this sealant, besides like various kid projects, like, oh, you know, kiddo made a, what do they call those? Terracotta, you know, plant pot holders or whatever, and painted them, you know, that's a really cool project that, like, I feel like I've done with kids a lot. And use this stuff, or even the liquid stuff, to just spray it down and keep it, if you're going to use it outside, you know, and just sort of keep it from going funk. Okay, so I'm going to try to do a little bit better. Yeah. So this would be much better used with like a normal brush, I guess. Like these little detailed parts. Like, I can get one out and show you actually. I don't know if you guys were able to check out those Artist Loft paint by number videos that I put up. Even if you're only here for the diamond painting, you know, it's kind of an adjacent craft that scratches a adjacent type of itch. So, but they come with these lovely paintbrush sets, and several of these paintbrushes would be awesome for this task. I'm not worried about this. This is like your typical, you know, like little, did I just put a hair in there? This is like your typical hobby brush. And, oh yeah, that'd be really easy to use too. Although I wouldn't want to use it on the rest of this, but like this one, I still got outside the lines. Okay, cool. Yeah, this works really well too. And if you don't want to spend $10 on a, you know, Artist Loft kit, or if you don't have access to Michael's because you're international, or shout out to my international people. I'd love to hear where you guys are from. Michael's is primarily in the US and Canada. I don't think it's in Mexico. It's sort of like a North American craft store. But they do have online shipping. But anyway, if you don't want to do that, then there's this. Ooh, this is working really lovely. I like that. And there's not really any bubbles. Okay, so there's that. Yeah, look at the detail I'm able to get just from this little brush there. Okay, cool. Meanwhile, this one that I did with a big brush, as you can see, it has become, well, maybe you can't see the light, but the discoloration on above that straw because I painted over that. Oops. Okay, so what I'm gonna do then with, let's see, the one that I did I painted over the whole thing. Actually, that's looking really good. So what I'm gonna do with this one actually is I think I'm just gonna do the whole thing too, because that straw, that staining around the straw in here, that might actually stick around. These other two though, I'm just going to fill in just to the image. So these are called Spooky Cocktails, and it's funny because like I don't drink, not really, like every once in a while I'll have something to try, like at a festival, or if we're out and about and there's like some, ooh, that looks interesting, like especially if there's somebody there to share it with me. But typically I just I'm not a drinker, but these were so cute. And I guess you don't have to be a drinker. I know that the one is in a margarita cocktail glass, and you could just say, yeah, maybe just, I'm not into that one. But the rest are in like cups that could be construed as like normal, and or like maybe, hey, you know, it's like a juicy drink. I'm just gonna use this little brush to sort of get the outside edges. Okay, cool. Yeah, that looks really cool. Alright. And then I'm gonna use this one, this little margarita cocktail guy. This is the one because what do they put in it? Like a, so instead of the eyeball here, it'd be a an olive. Oh my god, this is so crazy. So this actually has something to do with what I'm about to say. So olives, I had no idea. I mean, okay, like people can be traumatized by anything, right? Anything can be a phobia. Literally anything can be a phobia, like water, air. Like it's crazy, but it happens, right? So anyway, my husband was telling my son and I about this lady. He was like, oh yeah, you know the olive lady. I don't even remember why this came up. But I was like, the olive lady. And he was like, haven't I ever showed you with her? So Maury, which is like a TV show host here in the United States, at least he used to be, where he'd like, it was like family drama, like Jerry Springer. Is that what that guy's name was? Like, when I was really little, we'd watch Jerry Springer. Not very often, because it's like really like trashy TV, you know, like people with all these problems or whatever. And I guess people without drama or problems love to watch those shows. So I'm like, if you have a family like that, this isn't entertaining for you. It's like giving you flashbacks. Anyway, that's how I feel about it, considering my family. Anyway, I digress. So my husband was like, this olive lady on the Maury show, and I'm like, olive lady on the Maury show? So he looks it up, and this poor lady was freaking out about olives. And I think this was kind of mean. Like, I know she goes on there to like talk about her phobia, and they try to help them get over it, I think. But she's like, yeah, I have this phobia of olives. And she like grabbed onto Maury's arm and would not let it go. And she's like squeezing it, it's turning white. He's like, oh my God, let me go. She won't let him go. So she's terrified talking about olives. And as she's describing why she's terrified of the olives and what happened to her, Maury is like, let go of my arm. This hurts. This hurts. And then she's like, no, I can't let it go. I can't let it go. I can't let you go. And Maury goes, bring out the olives. And seriously, this lady off stage comes up with this like huge, like honkin' jar. It's gotta be like 2 gallons worth of these green olives in there. And she, of course, the poor lady, like runs off screaming. And it's kind of funny the way she does it, but I'm like, it's not funny, you know, it's not funny. But I'm like, that's why, it's like he threatened her with those olives, like, let go of my arm, since you're not letting go, I guess I will have them bring out the olives. And her whole story was, like, when she was, like, 7 or something, this is totally off topic, but when she was 7, she saw her grandfather who had passed away. So don't listen to this if, you know, family deaths and stuff are gonna upset you, but he had an open casket, and somehow she saw his eyeballs and they were green, and it reminds her of green olives. I'm like, first of all, ew. Second of all, I'm pretty sure that like, I don't know, I just unfortunately attended a funeral this summer that was open casket, and I know from mortuary students that I've interacted with, they don't just like, stuff just does, I don't know, it's just the whole thing was like, maybe that's how they did it when she was younger. She was a bit of an older lady. It looked like it was like circa early 2000s, or even maybe like late 90s or something. Anyway, I digress. I got on this whole thing. So olives, weird story, but olives. So anyway, so I did end up painting off this whole one and this whole one. So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to show you how I do a bigger canvas, because this canvas, it's funny, I say bigger, okay, but this canvas really isn't huge. Like, to me, I do canvases that are so big that they like take up the whole floor, you know, to do, or I have to do them on the floor. Like, it's insane-o. Okay, so oops, I don't want this off. There we go. Okay, so how would I do this canvas? I would do this canvas the way that I do all my other projects, which is the same way. I would just go along the edges, brush it on, and excuse me, and then I just kind of stay that's why it's kind of nice, because these are like longer and flatter. You can get bigger ones. But the other thing is they soak up more product. There's a lot of product in this sponge. But I don't want to be super rough when I'm rolling over these drills, because like I said, some of these drills have already popped off. Oops, and it caught one. So that's what I was worried about happening. When I sealed it, I only sprayed, when I did the spray sealant, I only did one layer. And you can go real gentle on these. You know, especially the square drills, because the square drills, honestly, like, you're just kind of gliding over the top. There really shouldn't be like a whole lot of space. There's another one. Off. There shouldn't be a whole lot of space in between these drills. But even so, like, this brush is still picking up on some of those drills that just kind of wanted to come up anyway. Yeah, you can see my edges here. So this is getting laid on thick, because I'm not trying to be aggressive with my brushing here. I basically just want to give this a layer that is thick enough that I can store this in whatever way I'm going to store it, because I'm in between storage systems right now. And it won't drop drills like a bad habit, you know. So I'm kind of going off my desk here, because this is pulling. And normally I'd probably, actually, I'm just going to lay this here and put that up there. Oops, let me move my tray tower a little bit here to make some space. Okay, you can actually see the demarcation line. That's funny. Let me see if I can get my lamp to show you a little bit better. Yeah, you can actually see where it stops and where it is. So, especially because this is a dark canvas. So, there's a lot of bubbles in here. This is a pretty thick layer, but again, I'm doing this. So, when I first started diamond painting, I was just like, oh my god, there's a sticky thing under here. Okay, Band-Aids, right? Like I told you about Band-Aids and sticky stuff and how I feel about that. So, I sealed everything. So I'm like, I don't want any sticky to be anywhere. And then I started doing them and getting faster, and I was like, you know, these square, well, especially the squares from Diamond Art Club, okay? Those suckers aren't going anywhere. And I was storing them flat in a portfolio together, one on top of each other under the bed. And there they would stay until I wanted to pull them out to put another one in there, or to, oh god, an orange drill came off. Or I leave them in there or until I went and I got another, oh, there's another drill, see? Now, what was I saying? Oh yeah, so I leave them in there until I was ready to basically put another one on top of it. I do display them for a time. I have basically like a curtain rod with hooks on it behind the couch that I like hang up recent finishes on, so I get to enjoy them for a while before they go away. But like, and that's where this one will go. But I wanted to show you something, because I put this on quite thick, and you can see the demarcation line. Now, if I put this up and I hold it, okay, so this is getting held. If you were to hang it to dry it, this is why I don't recommend this. I'm going to see if I can, oh goodness, I'm looking at this. It's cool, well, it's cool, but it's not cool. It's like I got light pointing from behind this canvas, and I can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 drills. At least 4 of them got popped off on that brush. I can see them, and I know a couple of them are already off, including one of the orange pumpkin-y ones. So here's the thing, though. I can stick those drills back on this canvas while this stuff is wet, and it'll basically adhere them in place. So what I'm hoping to see, if I can show you, is what happens if you were to hang it and have all this excess polycrylic. Oh yeah. Oh, did I get some on my desk? Okay, so what happens is, obviously, like, if you have too much on here, it'll drip down whatever way you are holding it. So I was holding it top to bottom. So I've got a little bit of drip from the excess that came here. So if you have like a studio situation where you could just do this and then it'd be cool because then the excess could just run off the bottom of the canvas if you didn't care about, you know, the bottom of the canvas in that way, that'd be really cool. But I don't really have that kind of area to do that, and I'm willing to bet a lot of us don't. So what I'll do is I will find a place where I can store this flat for a little while, and then I will I'll leave it there for like 24 hours or something. Sometimes it's still a little sticky, but most of the time I do it and I like check it, and the next morning I let it sit. If I do it in the morning, you know, I don't touch it until the next day. So this one, it's about, what is it, like 6? Yeah, it's 6 p.m. right now in my time zone, and I'm doing these. So I'll check them in the morning, and they'll probably be just fine. So I'm just kind of going over here with my brush. And it's funny because you can really tell the imperfections. And if you hold it up like that and you get like puddles moving down the canvas, you can actually use that to kind of work it out over somewhere else instead of having to grab more product. And this Polycrylic, guys, Polycrylic Minwax Polycrylic. Okay, this Minwax Polycrylic stuff is not that expensive. At first, I thought it was. I was like, oh man, like $17 for a jar of that stuff. But you guys, this stuff lasts. And look, I lay it on thick, like I do. Parenting arguments, marital arguments, I lay it on thick. Okay, clearly I still lay it on thick. So always got to be able to poke fun at yourselves, guys. Okay, so I have this. It feels heavy now, and I don't want it to fold over like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find a place where I can just sort of lay this out and not have anything mess with it. And then what we'll do is tomorrow morning or afternoon, whenever I can, I will be back and I'll show you guys the results of what it's like after it dries. See you next. Hi guys, it is the next morning and I just wanted to show you how these projects turned out. Now I will get the larger canvas over here to show you, but I actually have not touched these yet. So first I want to talk about these minis because yesterday some of them I went ahead and I sealed over the whole situation, and then some of them I just kind of went around the lines. Now I have to say I'm really impressed with these because I cannot tell from this really which ones I just put sealant over. Well, actually I can a little bit, only because if I look in the light, the shine on the canvas is just slightly different where it was sealed, but I really can't, like at a glance, I can't tell which ones I went completely over and which ones, and I know this one we went completely over because of the straw. Like you cannot tell. It's pretty cool. It doesn't feel any different really. The canvas feels like just mildly smoother. And as you can see, they're still really shiny and they turned out really well. This one, I think, I'm trying to tell. I think this one, we just painted the edges around. I can see just very slightly like, it's like a difference of you look at something, it's a little bit more shiny versus a little bit more matte. Now, in terms of this one, these, I had quite a few bubbles when they were drying, as you can see. And here, I can actually see some of the bubbles did dry as they were. I totally forgot. There is another tip for that, which I will get into in a moment. And I forgot to do that last step. It's just been so long since I sealed something. So, but they still look extremely cute. And actually those little bubbles kind of give it a cool effect considering the subject. So as you can see, This one is another one we just sort of painted around, or we just sort of painted the image. And I can't tell the difference between like this one, which is, you know, we did the whole thing, and this one we did the whole thing. So I'm trying to see, I don't know if you can see that in the camera, but there is a slight increased sheen on the ones where it's all completely, I wouldn't even call it shiny. Let me see if I can, yeah, I don't know. I don't think you can even pick that up in the camera, but there's just like a very slight, if you look up here, there's just like a very slight increased sheen on the one that was already sealed over the whole thing. And the places where I sort of like missed around, it doesn't really show up that well as like a mark. Like there's a little bit right here you can see where the sealer, maybe you can't see, it's hard. I'm trying to get it to focus, but or you can sort of see like where I went a little bit outside the lines, but nothing too bad. So these turned out really cute. As far as the tip to get the bubbles out of the sealer, which I really feel so silly for forgetting this. This is a trick that I picked up actually doing paint by numbers. When you are mixing up paint, it can get frustrating because if you mix it a lot, you can end up with bubbles in your paint, and you don't want bubbles because it increases the likelihood that the paint will dry out faster and they're just annoying to deal with. So what you do is, this is a little bottle of isopropyl alcohol, just rubbing alcohol, and all you do is you lightly mist it and it just pops the bubbles. It's like magic. It's actually kind of fun to see when it happens. So that's what I would recommend doing for this. Now I did forget that step, so you're probably going to see some bubbles on these projects, which, oops, but they are my projects. So and now I'm going to look at these. So let's look at our plaque here. So the plaque turned out really well. I have not touched this since I put it away last night. As you can see, just like the others, it's still really shiny. It's actually shinier. Yeah, I can see a little bit of bubbling, but nothing too shabby. Nothing actually noticeable. I'm just a bit of a perfectionist, so that's probably, well, I know there's a lot of us here that are perfectionists. Hail in the comments if you're one of those, but that's me too. But you're not going to notice it up close, but I would say if you're like gifting this, or you're like really, or trying to sell it even, then I would probably, you know, make sure you do that. But it doesn't, yeah, it looks great. And now for the thing that I am the most interested in seeing is this 3D project. So as you can see, it came right off the parchment paper. Okay, and the parchment paper had some of the sealant on it, but it came right off. I feel like I can actually rub my hands on it and I'm not worried. Nothing is coming off. It actually feels better than it did last night. Clearly picking his nose did him favors because there's no extra material that dried there. So yeah, this turned out really cool. So now I would feel comfortable actually displaying this, because now I'd feel like, well, if it did get dirty, I could get a little wet cloth and wipe the dust off. Here on the stem is where we had a lot of motion with the sealant, and you can see my bubbles I left. But again, I have done this so many times. I don't know why I forgot to do this. If you spray that with some of this rubbing alcohol in a light mist, then it will pop the bubbles like magic. So this looks really good. I really wish I would have done this a year ago, but as you can see, a year later I was able to seal it and he looks great. So now what I'm going to do is I want to pull out the Headless Horseman canvas, which from yesterday, as you saw, we had multiple problems with the drills popping off, even though I had sealed it previously with a spray. So just feeling this, I can feel, I laid it on thick last night because this one in particular, I'm worried about more drills popping off. I did not go back through and add some of the drills that came off. I can still do that if I want to. I would just put a little dab of glue using like a toothpick in that spot, and then I would add the drill. So let me see if I can bring you down a little bit closer so you can kind of see, you know, it's still quite shiny, even shinier, I would say. Maybe not even shinier, but it did not dull it. Now what it did do is it did give it like a stiffness. Like I can feel that, but as you can see, the product still looks really good. I would highly encourage you to consider sealing these Make Market. Yeah, like it's pretty stiff. I'm holding it now. Last night it would have flopped over on itself, but it's not doing that now. But the edges are still kind of. So anyway, this feels really good. This I would feel safe about. Okay, now I feel like I can hang this up. Now I feel like I can do something with it. But as you can see, it's still, the canvas still moves a little bit. So if you weren't going to frame it and you were just going to hang it up, it would hang nicely up on the wall. I have a curtain rod where I put clips along the side here. And sometimes the paintings that I don't seal, you know, they're heavy in the way they work. Sometimes there's a little bit of gap between the canvas and the wall where it hangs. And so sometimes the ones that aren't sealed kind of move a little bit, and this one would hang stiffly and be nice that it's sealed. So I recommend sealing some of these kits. That I always recommend sealing rounds because I have a thing about hair and dust and all that stuff. But as far as squares, I wouldn't normally recommend sealing them, but if you're working on the piece and you notice drills are popping off and they are frustrating you, you want to get that down with a sealer when you're done with it. That's another thing that I learned working on a Make Market Halloween kit a few years ago. The adhesive, I'm pretty sure they had double-sided adhesive a few years ago, and the piece I worked on, it was a haunted house. The drills would come off on my hands as I like rested my hands to work on another piece, and I ended up sealing that one, and it went quite well. Now it was a round, so I was going to seal it anyways, but if you have a canvas that's causing you issues like that, that's an idea. This one, I had every intention of sealing it. Once I got about a third of the way into the canvas, these Make Market squares, I realized it was frustrating enough that I did want to start sealing it as I went. However, I didn't end up doing that because I wanted to try the spray sealer first to see if it could prevent the drills from coming up with the brush as I laid on the other sealer. But as we saw earlier in the video, that did not pan out. So I would just use I would just continue to use the liquid sealer for these. So this is all I really have for you. I would love to hear in the comments if you've completed any of these projects. If there's another type of sealer that you recommend trying. I've tried a few different ones. I stick with the polycrylic because I still have a ton in that one jar, and it does right by its users. I've used it on multiple different painting projects as well. But if there's another sealer, especially a spray sealer that you recommend, I'd love to know in the comments. I do use spray sealers on my paint by numbers as a last step. So because just the nature of the paint by number, it's just, you could like, you know, paint it on like we did with this, but it's more just you want to create that barrier for the paint. So that's why I do it for that. I love using spray sealer for that, but with the diamond painting projects, I think from now on I'll just stick with the liquid sealer. So let me know your experience in the comments, and if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. It definitely helps the algorithm, and you know, leave a comment. I love hearing from you guys and responding, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Happy Halloween!